You think you know what WWE almost did to Sami Zayn? You think Vince McMahon's ego was the only reason we lost the WWF name? And wait until you hear what Brock Lesnar allegedly said backstage that nearly got him escorted out of the building. What I'm about to expose will make you question everything you thought you knew about the business we all love. Some of you won't believe me, some of you will call me a liar in the comments, but the receipts don't lie, and by the end of this video, you're going to be just as furious as I am about what goes on behind those curtains. Let's start with the most heartbreaking betrayal in recent memory, Sami Zayn's stolen moment. 2023 was supposed to be Sami's year. The Bloodline storyline had everyone invested. Grown men were crying when Jey Uso superkicked Sami at the Royal Rumble. The emotional payoff was right there. Sami Zayn defeating Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship at Elimination Chamber in Montreal, his hometown, was the story WWE had been building for months. The script was written, the merch was ready, everything pointed to that iconic moment where Sami would finally get his redemption. But here's what they don't want you to know. 3 weeks before Elimination Chamber, creative completely scrapped the finish, not because it didn't make sense, not because the fans weren't ready, but because someone in the back, and we know exactly who, decided that Sami Zayn as world champion wasn't good for business. They looked at one of the most organically over babyfaces in a decade and said, nah, let's keep the title on Roman for another year. You want to know the real kicker? According to multiple sources close to the situation, Sami was told about the change 4 days before the event. 4 days. Imagine preparing for the biggest moment of your career, visualizing holding that title in front of your home country, only to have it ripped away because someone backstage got cold feet about putting the belt on a smaller guy. And before you type, but Roman's reign was historic. I know. We all know. But historic doesn't mean it was the right decision. How many gene-rational talents have we seen get buried because WWE refuses to pull the trigger at the perfect moment? Sami's momentum was nuclear. The crowd was ready. The story was perfect. And they killed it. Here's my question for you. Do you think Sami will ever get another opportunity that perfect again? Drop your answer in the comments, because I have a feeling most of you already know the truth. Now let's talk about Roman Reigns and OTIS. Yes, you read that right, OTIS. Behind the scenes during the peak of Roman's tribal chief run, there was serious discussion about having OTIS be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns. Not at WrestleMania, not at SummerSlam, but at a random Saudi Arabia show where WWE does whatever they want for that blood money paycheck. The pitch was simple, shock value. Nobody would see it coming. OTIS as world champion would break the internet. But here's where it gets absolutely insane. The only reason this didn't happen wasn't because it was a terrible idea, which it was, but because Roman himself threatened to walk out. Not quit, walk out of that specific show. Roman reportedly went straight to Triple H and said, if you put that title on OTIS, I'm not showing up, and you can explain to Saudi Arabia why your tribal chief is sitting at home. Now, whether you love Roman or hate him, you have to respect that level of protecting the business. Because can you imagine the absolute chaos if OTIS had won the Universal Championship? The memes alone would have crashed Twitter, but more importantly, it would have destroyed every ounce of credibility that title had left. The wildest part? Some people in creative still thought it was a good idea even after Roman's ultimatum. They genuinely believed that controversial moments create buzz and that OTIS as champion would make wrestling mainstream news. Yeah, for all the wrong reasons. Quick question for the comments, would you have rather seen OTIS as Universal Champion for the shock factor, or was Roman right to shut it down? Because I guarantee this comment section is about to get spicy, but nothing, and I mean nothing, compares to what Brock Lesnar allegedly did backstage last year. Multiple wrestlers who were present have confirmed that during a SmackDown taping, Brock Lesnar went absolutely ballistic on a producer who suggested a script change to his segment. We're not talking about a professional disagreement. We're talking about Brock getting in this person's face, backing them against a wall, and according to one source, saying something along the lines of, I don't care what's on your little paper, I'll do what I want, and if you have a problem with that, we can handle it a different way. Security was called, not to escort Brock out because who's going to escort Brock Lesnar anywhere but to de-escalate the situation before it became a legitimate physical confrontation. Here's the part that should terrify WWE, absolutely nothing happened to Brock. No suspension, no fine, no public statement. He showed up at the next event like nothing happened, and the producer he confronted, conveniently moved to a different brand within 2 weeks. This is the culture WWE has created. If you're valuable enough, if you draw enough money, you can do whatever you want. Brock Lesnar has been given a pass for decades because he's a draw, and WWE is too afraid to stand up to him. And honestly, can you blame them? The man is a legitimate fighter who could snap most of the roster in half. But at what point does allowing this behavior become a liability? The craziest part is that this isn't even the first time Brock has had backstage confrontations. There are years of stories about Brock doing whatever he wants, showing up when he feels like it, refusing to follow scripts, and basically operating as his own boss. And WWE just allows it. Because at the end of the day, Brock Lesnar sells tickets, and in this business, that's all that matters. I want to hear from you. Is Brock Lesnar untouchable in WWE, or should there be consequences regardless of how big a star you are? Sound off below. Now let's address the elephant in the room that still makes old school fans furious to this day: the death of WWF and the birth of WWE. Everyone knows the official story. The World Wildlife Fund sued, WWE lost, and they had to change their name in 2002. Clean and simple, right? Wrong. What most fans don't know is that Vince McMahon could have kept the WWF name. The lawsuit settlement included an option for WWE to continue using the WWF initials in specific contexts, but Vince's ego got in the way. He didn't want to share the acronym with anyone. He didn't want restrictions. He wanted full control, even if it meant abandoning decades of brand recognition. Think about that. The WWF name was synonymous with professional wrestling for 40 years. Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, The Undertaker, all WWF legends. The logo was iconic, the branding was perfect, and Vince threw it all away because he refused to compromise. But here's the part that'll make your blood boil: WWE could have negotiated a better deal. Legal experts have confirmed that the World Wildlife Fund was willing to work with WWE on coexisting peacefully, but Vince's legal team was so aggressive and combative during negotiations that they burned bridges and ended up with the worst possible outcome. We lost the scratch logo. We lost the Attitude Era branding. We lost a piece of wrestling history because one man's ego was too big to share 3 letters with a panda conservation charity. And to this day, WWE pretends like the WWF never existed. Watch old clips on Peacock, they are all edited. WWF is blurred out or muted. It's like they are ashamed of their own legacy. The company that gave us the most iconic era in professional wrestling is now trying to erase it from history. Final question: do you still call it WWF in your head, or have you fully accepted WWE? I need to know if I'm the only one still living in 1999. Look, the wrestling business has always been shady. We know this. But when you peel back the curtain and see just how many incredible moments were stolen from us, how many terrible decisions were almost made, and how much talent has been wasted because of backstage politics and fragile egos, it's infuriating. Sami Zayn should be a former world champion. OTIS should never have been in a sentence with Roman Reigns and the Universal Championship. Brock Lesnar should have faced actual consequences for his behavior. And we should still be calling this company the WWF. But this is the business we love. This is the industry that breaks our hearts over and over again, and yet we keep coming back every single week hoping that maybe, just maybe, they'll get it right this time. If this video made you angry, good, hit that like button and share it with every wrestling fan you know who needs to hear the truth. Drop your thoughts in the comments, I read every single one. And if you're not subscribed to Wrestling Zone 1 yet, what are you even doing? This is where we talk about the real stories behind a business. Until next time, keep questioning everything they tell you.